I actually did not get to participate in school things because working for the doctor and his wife, I got excused from school every day. I went right home, did whatever I had to do for them.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Tanous, and that wonderful woman you just heard is my great aunt Marcia. I've chosen to interview her for my Generations memoir, where I get to talk with someone 2 generations above me in my family and find out what they feel the purpose of schooling in a democracy is. To do that, I'm going to ask her questions about her culture and traditions, as well as her school life and her work life. But first, here's a little background on my family. This is a picture of me, and this is a picture of me with my family. My 2 older sisters, Stephanie and Chelsea, my mother, Mary Kilmartin, and my father, David Tanous. My father's mother is Esther Shalala. She married David Tanous I a long time ago, and David Tanous was in a family of 8 boys. Here's a picture of all the boys on Peaks Island with their mother, my great-grandmother. Now, David Tanous' brother is Nolan Tanous, and Nolan Tanous and great-aunt Marcia got married right when they were about to leave the war. Together, they had a child, cousin Mary Ellen. Here's cousin Mary Ellen out on Stevens Avenue, and here's a picture of her today. Now, because they were really close in age, they're only apart by 2 years, they were raised as brother and sister. Here's a picture of them when they were little. Nolan Tanous passed away due to illness, and shortly after, so did David Tanous, leaving 2 widows with young children. And on top of that, both of them had Tanous family stores. One of them on Peaks Island, the red and white striped store, and the other in Portland, where today you might see the Quality Shop. So my grandmother, Esther, sold the one on Peaks Island and moved into Portland to Capissick Street, pretty close to great-aunt Marcia. And great-aunt Marcia kept the store going as long as she could, until eventually my grandmother ended up marrying another Tanous, Thomas Tanous, and together they had 2 children, my Aunt Tricia and my Aunt Liz, and they moved to Massachusetts. Here's a picture of my father and cousin Mary Ellen at their wedding. About 10 years later, once Mary Ellen was fully grown, my Aunt Marcia married Don. He fits right in with the family. Here's him playing pool with my grandfather. And that's how Aunt Marcia and I are related.
My mother was side of the family is all French. Her parents came from Paris. My father was German, English, and Irish. Well, yeah, my grandparents on both sides immigrated to this country.
Like what?
I was raised as a Catholic because I grew up in an orphanage with nuns. So, consequently, I'm a Catholic. I guess you'd have to say that's the biggest influence.
Yeah, and would you say that that might have guided your life? And
It did in a lot of ways because it taught me a lot at a young age about standing on your own 2 feet, taking responsibility for yourself. The nuns instilled that in you. You probably know that.
holidays?
I can't think of anything that's been important. Until I married my husband, then I got involved in the family traditions, the Tanous side of the family traditions. But up to that point, I didn't have any.
And after that point, what would you say were the big?
Oh, Thanksgiving, you know, how everybody got together, and everybody always we cared as a family. I mean, you know, you see a lot of families, they have no relationship with one another. The Tanous family's always had a pretty strong bond, don't you think?
Yeah.
I don't think it is. Except that, like I said, more family traditions, caring for one another, being a family. You know, children, parents care about them, they know where they're at, what they're doing, you know, that type of. No, because I didn't get to really know them. They all died when I was, you know, 5 or 6.
It's just another way you'll be traveling at the speed of Hertz.
Well, that you have to, more or less, be your own person. Stand on your own 2 feet, take responsibility for whatever comes. If you make an error in judgment, then you should own up to it and stand up. Other than that, I think that's your strongest moral obligation to yourself and to your family. In the orphanage.
Yeah.
In the orphanage, we had classes, all the grade schools, right up to 8th grade. Then when I got out of the orphanage, well, how you got out of the orphanage was people would come and want to take people to work for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got out of the orphanage. I got taken by a doctor and his wife. And so I ended up in Fulton, New York, and I went to high school there. But I never participated in sports or anything. I just ordinary education. 4 years there. Then when I left there, I went to Syracuse, and I went to St. Mary's Maternity Hospital for 1 year. And when you got out of there, you had a certificate in child nursing. And from there, I went into the military. And in the military, I went to school. I went to surgical technician school. And I worked in the operating rooms and central supply while I was in the service.
Was the high school you went to in New York a public high school?
Oh, yes.
So, do you know how big it was, or like how many people were in your classes?
Oh, you probably had 30 or 40 students in a classroom.
And how about your orphanage? Was that?
Oh, that was girls in one building, boys in another building. Probably 150, 200 girls, boys. The nuns wanted somebody to play in a play, St. Francis of Assisi, and I didn't do something right, so I got a spanking from one of the nuns. Most of them were orphans,
Yeah.
so
And were they all probably white?
yeah, I don't remember any black students at all.
And what about your high school? What did you say?
High school, I don't even remember black kids there. There was only 1, 2, because most where I went to school, most people were Polish.
Okay. What about like their social class?
Pardon?
The social class? Do you think there were? Was it varying? Was it all in the same?
I actually did not get to participate in school things because working for the doctor and his wife, I got excused from school every day. I went right home, did whatever I had to do for them. So I didn't go to sports, didn't participate in anything at school. That was about it.
And were there a lot of kids at the school that did that? Or
With their,
like
with,
that got excused and went right home and did work? Or do you think a lot of them came from families where they didn't have to work?
a lot of kids didn't have to work. I mean, they lived there, you know?
Yeah.
It was quite a few Catholics.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe at least a quarter of the students were Catholic, because we did have to go to religious classes
Oh.
after school.
Mm. Do you know what the other religions were?
No, no idea. We had, I left it, history, English, home economics and that type of stuff. Is what, and typing. It's kind of different from today, so
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it for curriculum.
What about when you were in the orphanage? Was it the same, or was that in college?
Well, in the orphanage, it was only about, say, a half a dozen kids in each class. And of course, you had a strong religious class every day. So I don't even remember what we studied, but we must have studied something. We got through school. Well, the nuns tended to paddle us.
Mm.
You know, they weren't very gentle about it, or they'd put you in a closet somewhere or something like that.
And what about in high school?
No, I didn't know discipline in high school. I didn't.
Yeah. And when you got to college, were you that year that you were at St. Mary's? Did you get a
Yeah.
chance, or?
Well, they had us on 12-hour shifts,
Oh, yeah.
7 days a week. And you'd work from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, or, you know, you'd work 12-hour shifts and you'd come out, you're so tired you went to bed.
Mm.
Then you had your studies in between. I wouldn't know how to answer that, because I don't think anybody bothered to assess you. They passed you or didn't.
Mm.
It's different, a lot different then than it is today. Most of them were pretty good. Had a couple of favorites. Like the English teacher, we had a marvelous English teacher, and she was good. I mean, she'd go through like Shakespeare. And of course, the high school kids, most of that stuff is boring. But she'd make you so interesting, you were really interested. And then we had a good geography teacher, Mr. Rose. I can remember his name even.
Mm.
I don't think I have, well, it's good friends.
Yeah.
A lot of good friends that you made. There's a lot of, like I said, Polish people, and there were also a lot of Italian people. And used to go to their houses. And I can remember one Sunday afternoon we got invited to go have spaghetti. And of course they passed this bowl around with hot peppers in it. I didn't know. So I saw them all sprinkling, so I all sprinkled. Oh boy, I must have drank 10 glasses of water. Nothing in school, nothing till I got to the military, and then those classes were interesting, and I really enjoyed working in the OR and in Central Supply and all that.